Sky Sports are reporting that Sandro Tonali is ready to sign for Tottenham. It is now up to the clubs, Spurs and Newcastle, to agree on a fee for the Italian international midfielder. A former Spurs defender has come out and said if another club comes in for Tonali, it is going to be troublesome. Fabrizio Romano on Tonali, he said the deal is on. David Ornstein has stated that Arsenal are not pursuing Sandro Tonali in this summer transfer window. Fabrizio Romano has also stated a battle for Mateus Fernandes. It is Tottenham or Manchester United. Spurs want to get this deal done quick. Former Spurs star Darren Anderton has come out and said Romero isn't a Spurs captain and Archie Gray is a future Spurs captain. Pedro Porro has spoken out and said he only sticks with people who love him and not think badly of him. And the Lewis family have just injected another £100 million into the football club. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another episode of Tottenham News, but I'll be going for all the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, if you do get a spare minute, please do nominate us at the Football Content Awards 2026. All of the details are below and all of your support will be really, really appreciated. Thank you. Sky Sports have just reported that Tonali ready to sign for Spurs if deal with Newcastle can be agreed. Sky Sports have stated that Sandro Tonali is believed to be ready to sign for Tottenham if they can agree a deal with Newcastle. The midfielder is keen to play for Roberto De Zerbi and a contract worth more than £275,000 per week would be ready and waiting for him to sign. It is now down to the clubs to agree on his valuation. Newcastle have already rejected an offer worth almost £80 million from Spurs, revealed on Wednesday. The North Londoners are also considering bidding £85 million for West Ham star Mateus Fernandes. It remains to be seen whether Spurs intend to try and sign both or just one of these two top midfielders. Alex Scott is also a target for Tottenham, but Arsenal and Manchester United are the current front runners. The Daily Mail on this story, they are stating that Newcastle have rebuffed a second approach from Tottenham for Sandro Tonali. The North London club did not improve their original offer of £75 million, but asked the Magpies to reconsider. This was swiftly knocked back. Former Spurs defender Alan Hutton has been talking about Sandro Tonali and a possible move to Tottenham in this summer transfer window. He said, I really like Sandro Tonali. He is like a silky Italian player that you used to see from years gone by. Everything comes across so easy to him. His first touch is absolutely quality. Does he make Tottenham better? Yes, I think he does. I think he has got that quality to kick them on. The problem, I think, with Tottenham at this moment in time is the seasons that they have had. They have not been a stable club. There has been a lot of turnover in terms of managers and everything going on in the background. Daniel Levy stepping down as well. There has been a lot of noise and the fans are unhappy as well. That is the kind of situation that Spurs are in. Because of everything that surrounds the club, when other big teams like Arsenal or whoever it may be trying to get the same player, I think it's always going to be difficult for Tottenham. There's a lot of uncertainty that surrounds the football club. The positions that they finished in the last couple of years, I know that they won the Europa League, first trophy in a long period of time. It didn't really kick them on. Alan Hutton then goes on to say something needs to change. I know Roberto De Zerbi is capable of doing that, but they need to get these big players in to help them out. I think that is probably what has been missing, leaders and quality, especially in the middle of the pitch, where a guy can get on the ball and make something happen. I think Tonali would be a great signing for Tottenham. Do I believe they can get it done? I'm 50-50 on that. If other clubs are involved, I think it's troublesome. David Ornstein from The Athletic on a possible move for Sandro Tonali to Tottenham this summer. He said a lot of people have mentioned Arsenal. There has been a long-standing interest in Tonali, and we reported that on the deadline day of the January transfer window. I'm sure that they have explored it again for the summer transfer window, but right now I don't know of them pursuing it in the way that Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City certainly appear to be. Now, Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano on Sandro Tonali to Tottenham. He said, I stand by my news last week. Out of nowhere, exclusive news, Sandro Tonali, Tottenham full stop. I keep mentioning Tottenham and Tonali and Tottenham. I remain on my position. Tottenham are working on the deal to sign Sandro Tonali, and that remains the case. The deal is on. Tottenham, Tonali, I am not coming here mentioning Manchester City. I'm not coming here mentioning any other clubs. Since I told you Tonali, Tottenham last week, the other clubs are no longer mentioned by myself at least. Let's follow the situation, but the deal is on. Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano on Mateus Fernandes and a possible move to either Tottenham or Manchester United. He has stated one of the most intriguing cases in the recent months on the market. The player will go to who is offering €1 more in terms of club. So West Ham are ready to accept the best proposal, and then it is going to be on the player, of course. But both Tottenham and Manchester United behind the scenes are working on this deal. Tottenham want Sandro Tonali and Mateus Fernandes. It is not one or the other, while Manchester United already got Ederson from Atalanta, and they also want Mateus Fernandes. So both clubs are involved now. The story is ongoing. Both clubs are talking to Fernandes. So let's follow this situation closely, because Tottenham are pushing to close this deal. But Manchester United are still there for Mateus Fernandes. So we have a big battle which we have to follow until the very end. Now, a further update from Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano on the Mateus Fernandes deal. He has stated that Tottenham are pushing to get the Fernandes deal done. Tottenham are pushing and pushing because they want to be fast on this deal, and they want to be first on Mateus Fernandes. Separate story from Sandro Tonali, but Manchester United remain in contact with the agent of the player, Jorge Mendes. Manchester United are yet to give up on this deal. So the story is still open. West Ham are waiting, and West Ham feel that they are in the best position who is offering more money. They are ready to sell the player, so it now depends on the clubs, with Manchester United and Tottenham in contact with the agent of the player and trying to get Mateus Fernandes. Fabrizio Romano then goes on to say that Mateus Fernandes is one of the most wanted midfielders on the transfer market right now, and both clubs, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, are involved in this race, and it is very much still open. Now, Sky Sports have just reported that Antonín Kinský close to 5-year Spurs deal. Tottenham are close to an agreement with Antonín Kinský over a new 5-year contract. The offer also includes an option to extend the deal for a further year until 2032. Talks are in the final stages, and Spurs are hopeful of a full agreement soon. Sky Italy have just stated that Tottenham Hotspur are interested in signing Juventus defender Gleison Bremer during this summer transfer window. Spurs are one of the clubs who are monitoring any developments with the future of Bremer. Former Tottenham Hotspur star Darren Anderton on Tottenham captain Christian Romero, him being at former club Belgrano's training ground just days before Spurs played Everton on the final day decider, and the club's president confirming that Romero would be staying in his homeland over returning to Spurs. But then, of course, later he did come back to watch the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Darren Anderton said, I don't even know why they ever come out. A, he should never have been asking to go there, and B, if he did, the manager should have just said, no, F off, out of my office. It is pure madness. I don't like it. Interesting that Tottenham isn't actually his priority, and that is what shines through. You can't be a captain. And then Darren Anderton on Romero's red card away at Manchester United last season. He said, we're playing well for 20-25 minutes, and then he does something ridiculous again, stupid tackle, and from that point, we were always going to get beat. So you can't have that from your captain. You look up to your captain to lead by example, and he doesn't do that. Now, Spurs star Darren Anderton has been talking about Archie Gray and said when De Zerbi came in, Archie, who is by far and away, he has been our best player for us all season, got cast aside a little bit. So that is a little bit worrying for me because I want to see him in the team. I trust him, I back him, and I think with the new circumstances next season, he has got to be involved in it. And I think he will be. I could 100% see him being a captain going forward at Tottenham. On Thursday, the Tottenham Hotspur under-21s learned of their three opponents in the group stage of the 2026-2027 Vertu Trophy, which of course is the EFL Trophy. Spurs have been placed into Southern Group A alongside Oxford United, Cheltenham Town and Exeter City. The 16 invited under-21 teams from the Premier League were placed into previously determined groups of EFL sides during the draw. We will face each of the three opponents in our group away from home with dates to be confirmed in due course. Tottenham Hotspur defender Pedro Porro, whilst on international duty, has been talking about Tottenham signing a new deal. Did he think at any point last season that Spurs were on a decline? And did he think about leaving in the summer? And did he listen to outside noise? His response was, yes, I'm very happy. It is a place where I feel very comfortable. And now I can focus entirely on what needs to be done. I never saw it that way. My mindset was to see it through. Whatever it took, every day I went into the training ground thinking about helping the club to get out of the situation because I felt it was my responsibility. I thought exactly the opposite. That is why I say what people think is secondary. At the end of the day, it is you yourself who works and lives with the situation. There will always be people who think well or badly of you. I prefer to stick with people who love me. Football de London have stated that the Lewis family have injected £100 million into Tottenham Hotspur with more money to come as the owners seek to provide the North London outfit with the funds to push on to new heights. The Lewis family promised at the end of the season to invest in the club, and in a statement it said actions will speak louder than words. The club injected £100 million into the club in October and have done the same again now to ensure that CEO Vinay Venkatesham has the financial muscle to make the changes required at the club. It won't be the last of the money that the family put into the club through their investment company ENIC, and it is investment rather than raising debt. Now, the new £100 million can be used for various means, including transfers and further improvements within the club, but at a time when transfers are mostly paid in instalments, it would provide Spurs with the extra working initial capital to get bigger deals over the line. It then goes on to say the money will help fund the initial payment for any such ambitious deals and other changes being made throughout Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and I've spoken about a lot of these things before, so I am going to keep this very short and brief. Sandro Tonali is ready to join Tottenham. Now, we're hearing this from the very top journalists and the very top sources, and I know that the Daily Mail put out something saying that Spurs have offered the same money again, or they have just phoned Newcastle and said, can you reconsider the first offer? And they have said no. But all of the others are stating that, Spurs and Sandro Tonali, there is not going to be any issues there. Spurs will make him a very, very well-paid player. It is now down to the clubs to find an agreement on the price. But from all of the reports that I've read and all of the reports that I know of, Newcastle have always been very, very adamant with the player and with the agents, etc., that Newcastle will not accept anything less than £100 million. And this was the same, exactly the same last week. Same reports, £100 million. Newcastle have been extremely clear on that. So I think that Spurs, deep down, know exactly what they need to do. It's not £75 million plus add-ons reaching £80 million. It's 100. And if Spurs want to get this top deal over the line, it is £100 million. Now, it's interesting as well that Fabrizio Romano keeps saying, and he does keep saying it pretty much on a daily basis. Deal is on. He believes that this deal is on to Tottenham, Sandro Tonali, and the player wants to join Spurs. He's going to be paid very well, but it is just about getting the fee agreed with the clubs. Ornstein has stated that Arsenal are not pursuing this deal, and of course Alan Hutton has come out and said if another club like Arsenal, Manchester City and so on, if one of those come in, then it could be troublesome. And I do agree with that statement entirely because, Spurs, if they want to be serious and they want to get this top class player, a top signing over the line to show real ambition and show exactly where Spurs are heading in the future, then pay the money and just get this deal done as soon as possible. But, Fabrizio Romano constantly has full confidence that this deal is going to be happening for Spurs. Fabrizio Romano also on the Mateus Fernandes deal, it's Manchester United or Tottenham Hotspur. Both teams are battling it out for Mateus Fernandes. And this, again, is a lot of money, £85 million. And it's an interesting one as well because Fabrizio Romano can't even call this one to where he is going to end up. It is all about who is going to pay the most money for the player. And from what I've heard, Mateus Fernandes likes London. Of course, he's been at West Ham. He likes London. And, some people have said that he would like to stay in London. But, of course, it is a pull for, Champions League football. Manchester United, of course, will be playing in the Champions League. And Manchester United are a huge club. But will he want to go to Tottenham, get more game time perhaps under Roberto De Zerbi, and have an exciting challenge ahead for next year? It's going to be an interesting decision for the player himself. But then again, like I've just said about the Tonali one, it's whether Spurs are going to pay more money, because all West Ham are interested in at the moment is how much money a team is going to pay for Fernandes. And as Fabrizio said there, West Ham are in a very strong position because they're just sitting back and just waiting for the bids to roll in, particularly from these two clubs. Real Madrid were interested, but apparently now it is just down to Spurs and Manchester United. Darren Anderton, great player in his day. Have a lot of time for Darren, and he's been on the channel a couple of times. Great guest. Always speaks out, always speaks his mind. And I agree with him on the Romero situation. As I said a couple of days before the Spurs-Everton game, Romero should have always been in London, and that should have always been the case. And not only the president of Belgrano, but also Romero's agent come out and said a couple of days before that he was always going to be in Argentina for the recovery of his injury. But then, of course, he received a lot of backlash, and then suddenly he's on a plane back to London. And then we see him on the final day of the season come out and then walk out after the game as well to applaud the fans. Archie Gray, this is going to be an interesting one. I know Darren Anderson is saying that he was our best player last season. I agree. Played under 3 different managers, of course, as most of the squad did as well. But Archie Gray, for me, he does need to really nail down a position. And I think that Roberto De Zerbi has that same mindset as well. If he's going to use him and he's going to be a really important and decent player for us in the future, then Archie Gray does need to nail down a position and not just fit in to a position whenever someone's injured, suspended, or, for another reason. So I think that Archie Gray really needs to just nail down a position and stay there and go for it and fight for a place. But you can't ever question Archie Gray's commitment and desire on the football pitch. Always gives absolutely everything, and the fans and former players certainly recognise that. Pedro Porro stating that he's always wanted to help the club last season, and talking about were Spurs on the decline. Of course, it was a very, very tough season last year, and as I said in a previous episode, there will be some players that would have thought about leaving, and there will be players that perhaps do want to leave. Lucas Bergvall, we know, is one of them, but Pedro Porro himself has just signed a new 5-year deal, and I also said that not only some players will want to leave or think about leaving, there will be some players thinking this is exciting under Roberto De Zerbi. So, we have both sides of it, and Pedro Porro has, thankfully for us, signed a brand new deal, and we look forward to seeing him wear the Tottenham Hotspur shirt for many years to come. Now, the Lewis family have just injected another £100 million, and do you know what? I'm going to just stick with this line here. Actions will speak louder than words. Even the report from Football.London, of course, Alistair Gold wrote this one. He said here, the new £100 million can be used for various means, including transfers and future and further improvements. So we don't know how this money is going to be spent. We have heard and seen reports that Spurs do have a transfer budget of 200 million. Some reporters, journalists, experts have said it could be 300 million. Whatever it is, Spurs need to go big. Spurs need to do things in a very, very different way. And this transfer window needs to be different to any other in the history of the football club, in my opinion. I said just before the window opened that Spurs need 10 or 12 signings in this transfer window. Some people laughed, and I think that some people are now coming round to the idea and saying, well, you're probably right. When Roberto De Zerbi come out and said he wants 2 players in every position, and of course he said also that only 10, 12 players are good enough to play for the football club, then I think there is a lot of work to do in this situation, and it's going to be interesting as well. A lot of the players who went out on loan, they're all coming back. Are Spurs going to be loaning these players out again? Are they looking to sell these players? So it needs to be, there needs to be a big shake-up in terms of players going out the door as well, and we need to be ruthless in letting certain players leave and selling players as well, and make it a fully Roberto De Zerbi team that he is happy with, a squad that he is happy with, and very confident going into the brand new season. So on that £100 million that's been injected, yes, I see it as a very positive thing, but we don't know how this money is going to be spent. Of course, we heard from Vinay Venkatesham and the performance director and so on, in the minutes of the recent FAB meeting, and they're always talking about improvements and changing the football club for the better. That is a real positive thing. But of course, I'm going to go back to that statement again, or that line, actions will speak louder than words. I think that the actions could certainly be that Spurs put in an offer and say, look, you want your £100 million for Sandro Tonali? There it is. And Tonali in the next couple of days holding up that Tottenham Hotspur shirt. I'll tell you what, that is real action. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Now, if you do have 2 spare minutes, please do nominate us at the Football Content Awards 2026. All of the details are below. Now, stay safe and well, keep smiling, and I will see you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.